Hi, my name is Sarah Karashi. I'm affiliated with Michigan State University Extension in Kent County. Today I'll be showing you how to use a pressure canner tester. What you need to do is to set out all your equipment on a large table. I'll show you what each equipment does. This is the air pump that is also a foot pedal that you'll be using to pump air into the canister for the gauges. And then this is the master gauge unit, which you'll be placing the canister in. And inside this box are rubber adapters. You use the longer rubber adapters for smaller gauges and the smaller rubber adapters for larger ones to make sure that they firmly stay in place. And in this box right here is stored the master gauge. The master gauge is what you'll be using to compare the pressure with the dial gauge that anyone might bring in to the office. What the master gauge measures is PSIs, which is pounds per square inch. And what you do to test them is that you pump the master gauge to 6 and 11 and see how those numbers compare with the dial gauge. Then in order to set this up, you make sure that there are no holes in the tubing connecting the air pump to the canister, so no air will escape. You set the pump in the floor, and then attach the canister to the unit like this. Make sure it firmly stands in place. And then you connect the master gauge socket to the brass socket firmly in place. Once it clicks, then you know it's in. In order to release it, all you have to do is hold the gauge and then slide the brass socket up, like so. Now to compare the two, I'll use the short rubber adapter. And what you do is you put this on the vent pipe, like here, and then you place the master gauge. There should be a hole in the bottom of the dial gauge that will connect with the vent pipe here. So that means that the air pressure is going to both the master gauge and the vent pipe at the same time. And what you do is make sure that the vent pipe fits in the hole and then it's firmly in place. A lot of the times you'll have to hold the gauge down to make sure that no air escapes. And now make sure that both are at about 0 to make sure that's accurate. And what you do is you start pumping the air in, and then make sure until it reaches 6 PSIs on the master gauge. And I compare it with here, and it says that this is 7. And then I'll pump it up to 11 and see if I'll get comparable numbers. And at 11 PSIs, this is about 12. So that means that this gauge is 2 PSIs higher than what it should be according to the master gauge. Now when a gauge is 1 or 2 PSIs different from the master gauge, that means it's still usable and you could adjust it. But if it's higher or lower than 2 PSIs, then that means that the person will have to get a new dial gauge because it will be no longer accurate and wouldn't be safe for canning. There's a chart that tells you how to adjust the dial gauge in order for the canning instructions, which I'll post on our website, which is eatwellwestmi.org under food safety. Thank you.